Hey guys! For this week's video I thought I'd do the comic themed Q&A. I'll be coloring the cover for my new webcomic, The Heyday Kids, in the background. I talked a bit about it in a recent video, so I won't repeat myself here. I'll try to link that video in the iCard up there. If you'd like to read it, it's free to read on Tapaz, Webtoon, and my own website, Godsend Comics. I will note that I took a different approach to how I do this comic. Instead of having clean inked line art and carefully done panels, they're all uncolored pencil drawings. It makes the production a lot faster. I don't plan it quite as much, as I'm mostly just using it as a chance to practice using Tapaz and Webtoon, as well as hopefully start gaining an audience there for my work. Now, about the art here. You may have noticed the error where Mandy's coat went in front of Ruben's, there in the bottom left. I fixed that at the end. I'm genuinely shocked I didn't notice it until deep into the coloring process. There are a few issues with this cover, but it was fun. I'm pretty happy with how it came out overall, coloring especially. I only wish I could color everything this nicely. Anyways, I'll hopefully be making a video on how I color digitally soon, so I won't be explaining anything else about that here. Now, on to the questions and the answers. First up, Daily Doodlebops asks, will Aces stay a webcomic, or do you plan to publish it in the future? The plan for Aces has always been to print it. I'm hoping to have it ready for printing by late spring, early summer of 2018. I'll be self-publishing it, though for now I'm just going to print the first issue, and from there I'm going to focus on it being black and white. By the time I have enough for a trade paperback of it, I'd like to either pay someone to color it, or take a break and color it in bulk myself. We'll see. The webcomic version will only ever be black and white. If you aren't familiar with Aces, it's my main comic project and also the longest story. I'll link the places I post my comics below if you're interested in reading them. Though I also talked about Aces in the last video I posted, so anyways. Infinito Arts asks, what made you want to start drawing comics? Also, how will you incorporate your faith into your comics? The first part of how this started is kind of funny to me, actually. So I was really into Winx Club as a kid, and I was also weird, and literally got online and was like, I want merch! I found that they had made Winx Club comics, and I asked for the first one for Christmas. I got it, read it in one sitting, and also reread it in the same sitting. I loved it. It was my first ever comic book, aside from the little Bionicle floppies we used to get in the Lego magazines, which I didn't actually read back then. I now have a couple that my brothers gave me, and the art in those few issues is impeccable. Unfortunately, they're all out of sequence. Sometime from different runs of the comics, even. Anyways, over the next couple of months, I collected the other 8 volumes of the Winx Club comics, and soon I had all 9 volumes that they officially translated into English. Wish they had done all the issues, but that's besides the point. I realized that people were getting paid for it, and hey, I love story writing and drawing, I can make comics like that too! So while I was sitting watching cartoons, I drew the first character for my comic, Clay. And then I started what would become Aces from there, immediately knowing that this is what I wanted to do. Not to mention that there was a lot of encouragement from God. I think that that's a story for another time, though. As for how I do and will incorporate my faith into my comics, that's another long-winded answer. Most of the characters are from different parts of their faith. Some don't have any at all, and over the course of the story find it. Some are struggling with theirs and have to fight to hold on to it. Others are firm in it and have to find a way of sharing it with those around them. It's kind of hard to explain it well, and I guess you'll just have to wait and see how it all pans out. Sorry for lack of a very good answer. Kiwi Illustration asks, what's the most difficult part about lining and inking your comics, and how long does it take? Oh man. Oh man, this is a big one. I have a hard time inking hair. I tend to overdo it a lot, or do too little. I tend to forget to eat, so my hands get trembly while I'm working quite a bit, so I have to fight to do smooth lines. Sometimes I actually do the responsible thing and go eat instead of working. Imagine that. When inking a comic page with aces, the pages would range to either 2 or 3 hours to 7 or 8 hours to get the whole page inked. So that was fun. If I'm inking an illustration, it really depends on the level of detail, but most of the time it takes me between 1 to 3 hours to ink an illustration. I am getting faster all the time though, so the more I do it, the better I get. Michaela KB asks, what's one thing you wish you knew before you started making comics? What is the #1 thing you've improved on in terms of comic making? Something I wish I had known is that I didn't have to do exactly what everyone else was doing. At the time, I thought that there was only one clear-cut, defined way of making or drawing comics and layouts and everything like that. Even though my first few versions of Aces didn't follow any of that, that's what I was trying to do. I just didn't have the knowledge or the expertise to execute it properly. But even when I was doing the most recent issue of Aces, I don't know, man. For the longest time, I just felt like I had to make it conform to what everyone thought a comic should look like. But in reality, I could do whatever I wanted. A lot of people say, don't make your comic just, 6 uniform, symmetrical panels on a page. If you want to do that, you can do that. There's genuinely no rules about anything in comics. Do it how you want it, and it's gonna turn out good. It may not be to some people's taste, but if you like it, then that's what's important. And that you don't need to go out of your way to try to make comics how other people say you should, because they're a visual medium. They're all about, they're all about each person's vision and their unique art style and taste. One thing I've improved on for sure is my page layouts, because when I first started, they were a hot mess. I literally had like 15 panels on a couple of my pages, but I quickly figured out that that was not how it was supposed to work. Because, if you can find a way to fit 15 panels on your page, that's awesome, but I was not doing it correctly. I was making it extremely convoluted and confusing to actually see what was going on, where you were supposed to look next. And so, probably 30 pages into the first version of Aces, I kind of figured out what I wanted to actually make my pages always look like. So then from there I was able to make all the pages how I wanted them, and I didn't have to fight with myself over how I was going to do it and how many panels to put on the page, because, putting like 7 or less panels on a page is usually a good idea. If you can put 9 panels on a page, that's pushing it, but I've seen some comic artists do amazing work using a ton of panels per page. Anyways, that's all for this video. If you guys have any more questions or anything like that, then definitely feel free to drop them down in the comments, and I will try to make another Q&A video soon. I really enjoy doing these, and it's pretty easy to just start rambling. Hope you enjoyed watching the process of me coloring it, and I hope that you check out the comics. Thank you so much for watching again, and God bless. Hopefully I'll see you next week, or sometime, someplace, wherever, whenever. Bye!